So, I will be upfront with you guys. I pretty much always have, and a couple of patches ago, I let you guys know that I really don't sugarcoat things. I give you guys my honest opinions on how I feel about the game. I'm not going to be one of those hype beast machines that always says the game is going to be good, and I'm also not going to just be one of those hater machines that says that the game is always bad and I don't know what they're doing and what's their problem. Because honestly, there's kind of a mix of good and bad over the years with PoE, and a lot of it has been good, there's been a lot of bad as well in my opinion. And this time, my opinion is very mixed. I kind of feel like this is possibly one of the better patches that we've gotten in a long time that isn't like a big giant patch. I'm giving it the benefit of not being like one of the yearly patches. But it's potentially one of the worst leagues, or least interesting leagues that I think that I've ever seen. When I was watching the league reveal over at twitch.tv/BigDucks, which you should go follow, by the way, I was literally sitting there and my mind just felt like it was glazing over as they were talking about the Sentinel League. I'm just like, okay. And I literally just kind of tuned out. Even at one point, I went and like laid down on the couch and just kind of like took a nap during part of the conversation with Ziggy when they were talking about Sentinel, because I'm just like, my brain is not accepting this information right now. But everything else definitely piqued my interest, some good and some bad. So I'm not really going to talk too much about Sentinel. We'll see how that ends up being. I'm not super excited for that, but we're going to talk about the patch in and of itself. So first off, let's start with the bad, because I do want to talk a little bit more about the good once it gets here. Now, the bad. Some of you might disagree with me on this, but I think the fact that we are getting absolutely no balance changes is pretty worrisome. We haven't gotten any new skills in 2 patches, and I feel like most of the new skills haven't really been great. I think the reason we're not getting new skills is because GG is kind of realizing that they can't just pack on more and more and more skills all the time. I would like to see some reworks of old skills at some point, hopefully, because there's a few that I think are really not doing too hot at the moment. But the fact that we're not getting any balance changes makes me worry about the longevity of this league for anyone that played 3.17. And I fully understand if you're looking at 3.18 and you're like, well, I played 3.17 a lot, why should I play 3.18? Because I get it. I understand where you're coming from. I know a lot of people that didn't play a lot of 3.17 are going to have an amazing time in 3.18. Like, if you spent most of 3.17 playing like Elden Ring and Lost Ark and doing other things, 3.18 is probably going to be amazing just because the base game is in one of the best states it's ever been. But for people who extensively play 3.17, I'm not sure there's much here for you. We're gonna have the new bosses to kill, and there's gonna be a couple new uniques and like the new Atlas changes and things like that, but it's gonna be mostly the same. Like, if you enjoyed 3.17, it's gonna be about the same. There's not very much new to do. There's not very much new exploration of builds. You're still gonna have the very top end builds, and the good league starters are all gonna be roughly the same, so it's not really gonna be very much different. It makes me wonder why in particular GGG is doing this. I believe them that they say that it's an experiment, but I wonder why they decided to run this experiment. I think that for some people it will probably be pretty decent to have the same meta and not have to worry about build changes or things like that. Personally, for me, I feel that it's kind of like as a content creator in general, not that any of you really care about that, but for those of you that are content creators, I understand it's like the hype of making build guides towards the beginning of the league is pretty big for a lot of channels and such like that. And that's kind of been like extinguished a little bit here, because it's like, well, just go use the ones from 3.17. There's not really any reason to make new ones at this point. The only thing would be if there was builds that you just didn't have time or didn't, you know, want to make then that you can make now, then maybe you could do something like that. But then there's the upsides. The massive upside that I see, at least going into 3.18, is going to be mostly the fact that we're getting these new crazy Uber bosses. However, most likely these Uber bosses are going to be around for a while, so is there any real reason to force yourself to play 3.18 right now? I'm not exactly sure. Is there anything that you're going to miss? I mean, maybe Sentinel League, but Sentinel League doesn't look that interesting, so I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on this whole situation. Do you think in particular that this is going to be a good thing, a bad thing? Are you happy that there's going to be no balance changes? Are you upset that there's going to be no balance changes? Let me know down in the comments, and the main reason that I'm making this video is because I kind of want to get a bit of a feeling from the community on, do you think that this is a good thing or a bad thing? Because I know how I feel, and I feel that it's kind of a bad thing. I feel that I don't really have very much to do now in this league besides like fight the bosses and maybe a couple other little things that I wasn't able to finish up before. But besides that, I just don't really see much for myself to do. So as I said, let me know your feelings about everything down in the comments. Are you excited about the new bosses? Are you excited about no balance changes or unhappy about no balance changes? Do you think that the Sentinel League looks interesting? I honestly completely tuned out most of the Sentinel League, if I'm just gonna be brutally honest with you. And yeah, so let me know down in the comments. And remember, if you enjoyed this content, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit that notification bell, and stay safe out there in rank class. And I'll see you guys in the next video.